And we are live. So if you're on, go ahead and throw a comment so I know that you're here. I'd like to say good hi to everybody. French Fries was first commenter. Thanks for that, French Fries. He gave me a hard time last week. So when I decided to do the whole live chat thing, I figured out that just for my life, my family, my schedule, Thursday nights would work. But I didn't think about the fact that that would mean my second live stream was going to fall on my birthday. So we canceled last week. I went and spent some time with the family, and we went out to dinner and had some fun. And now we're back. And French Fries told me that it was okay for me to cancel as long as my next one was a banger. So I hope we got lots of people on here so we can make it a banger. And, we got David Wood on here. David, thanks for joining us. If there's anybody else out there, give me a comment so I can say hi to you. French Fries, you said, have y'all heard of the 6.8 Western that came out last month? Yes, I have. I'm very excited about this cartridge. It's very similar to the 270 WSM. Really, the main difference, pardon me, is they're coming out with a twist rate that'll stabilize heavier bullets than ever been offered at a 270, up to 175 grain, which used to be the heaviest you could get in a 270 was about 150 grain. And then it's very similar to the WSM casing. It's just a tiny bit shorter, gives slightly less velocity, but you're getting all that extra weight in the bullet, and the ballistics look pretty good. I'm pretty excited to try it out. Just have to wait to see when they come available. There's not a lot available of any kind right now. I've kind of toyed with the idea of getting a 6mm Creedmoor because my local Sports Warehouse, that's about all they have on the shelves. The only thing that stopped me is I'm honestly really not that interested in a 6mm Creedmoor. So, that's just kind of how it is right now. Times are tough. Hey, it's my birthday this Monday. Well, happy birthday Monday, because we won't see you until after your birthday. Lucas, hey, how's it going, Lucas? Glad to see you join us here tonight. And French Fries, but the retained energy. Yeah, exactly. You jump up to that, 175 grain in a 270. It's going to have a crazy high ballistic coefficient. That's going to keep your velocities going pretty good till you're pretty far out there, along with retaining all that energy. I think it's going to be a banger of a cartridge, honestly. Maybe, I don't know, I'd have to ask an Alaska expert to see about it for Alaska, but from the lower 48, there's not going to be anything you can't take care of in the lower 48 with that cartridge. It looks pretty freaking amazing. James, glad to see you here. You're a constant. I can always count on James showing up to the party. If you got any questions or comments, anybody, throw them in here. This is all viewer driven. And so anything you guys want to talk about, you hear me rattle on about. If I don't know about it, I'll pretend. I heard it has the same energy as a 300 Win Mag at 500. I believe it. I believe it. I haven't memorized the ballistics tables on it to verify that, but I mean, it sounds pretty feasible considering all the things I've seen on it so far. It looks really, really promising. I hope it's everything they're claiming it to be, because it looks pretty cool. We have anybody else in here besides David Wood, French Fries, Lucas, and James? Anybody else hanging out yet tonight? If not, throw in your questions, opinions on life, questions on guns, or any topics you guys can think of. I'm happy to try to tackle. David Wood, I didn't say hello to you. Hello, thanks for showing up. Glad to see you on here. It's looking to be kind of a slow chat so far. Nobody's asking me anything. Well, let's talk about what we got going on. You know, I try to stay fairly ahead video wise. I don't ever want to be up against a deadline, and I don't shoot my videos at my own place. You know, I've got a friend whose house I go out to, and you know he's got a life, he's got things going on the weekend. I can't just show up whenever and be like, hey, I'm here to shoot a video. Sorry about your family barbecue. You know, I just can't just jump in. So I have to plan it around him, and I'm very, very grateful and thankful that he lets me do all the cool stuff at his house that he lets me do. So I try to shoot and be ahead of the game so that if there's some weekends that he's unavailable, I don't have to worry about running out of content. So I've got some stuff already in the queue that I have not uploaded yet, but I'm going out this Saturday and I'm shooting some more videos. Once again, just trying to stay ahead of the game. It'll help me out a lot this summer because summertime is very, very busy for me because I work in construction, and summers get tough. I work a lot of hours in the summertime. Anyway, let's see here. Do you know Hootie Who? I do not know Hootie Who. He seems like a pretty great guy. He does come on and comment on my videos from time to time. We've sent a few messages here and there, but I do not know him. I'd like to get to know him. He seems like a pretty cool guy. I don't know how many of you guys follow me on Instagram, but for my birthday, my family got me a cap and ball revolver. So I'm getting into black powder. I've shot black powder, but I've never owned anything black powder. So that's one of the things I'm going to do this Saturday. I'm going to go out and film video with my cap and ball revolver. Kind of first impressions since it's brand new to me. Haven't shot it yet. We're also going to do a part 2 or a follow-up video. Some of you may have seen the video I posted a few weeks ago. It was my buddy's Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation 10mm full size and 9mm home defense combo. You know, they were a combo gun, and we were having some real problems with the 9mm. It was cycling when it would fire, and that was the biggest problem. It didn't want to fire. You drop the hammer, nothing would happen. And it was because it's 1911, you can shoot it, you know, single action. So cock the hammer back, and most of the time you could get it to go off on the second dropping of the hammer. Sometimes it took like 3. So my buddy sent it back. Apparently he had a pretty quick turnaround time. Kimber gave him a long list of things they did to change parts out, polish parts, just work on some stuff to try to make it work. They fired 2 or 3 magazines through it. I can't remember. They listed exactly what rounds they used and how many magazines they fired through it, and apparently didn't have any issues. They sent it back to my buddy. I don't know how many rounds he's put through it, but he seems to think that the issue's been taken care of. So we're gonna do a video on that this Saturday and see if did it really work. Did their fixes make it work the way it should have worked, you know, right out of the factory? But things happen, so as long as it's working now, I think you'll be pretty happy. So we're gonna do that. Got some other content coming out pretty soon. So I've got kind of a lot of stuff in the queue. Anybody else, feel free to jump in. Right now, French Fries is the only person keeping this thing alive, and I promised them a banger video. What do you think of the bill they're trying to pass? I'm guessing you're talking about HR 127. Obviously, it's bad. It's very, very bad for anybody that enjoys their Second Amendment, because it pretty well strips and rapes our Second Amendment pretty terribly. You know, they're going to come after the AR-15s. It's outlawing 50 caliber ammunition, and I don't know if they're just talking about like 50 BMG. I mean, is that going to extend on to anything that is 5.0 caliber? I mean, that could even get into black powder guns. I mean, one of the most common hunting black powder diameters is 50 cal. Is that going to include my 500 Smith & Wesson? I sure hope not. So yeah, there's a lot of really bad stuff in there. James saying that it's going to die, said gun control, not the big thing right now. I hope that's true. I mean, but Biden talked about it through his entire campaign. And he talked about sending Beto after us, who came out and said, hell yeah, we're going to take your AR-15s. Beto's not taking my AR-15. That ain't going to happen. But yeah, I'm hoping that really isn't. I hope they've got more stuff on their plates that they're worried about, that they don't worry about this. And French, yeah, they don't include grandfather. They don't care. They don't care at all. They want to take them and melt them down. But yeah, I hope James is right. I hope they just have too much on their plate to take the time to mess with this whole thing. It's almost looks like the old assault weapons ban that they did in '94. It lasts from '94 to 2004, except for like all that plus more, taking it all a step further. And that didn't work. I mean, they're obviously not interested at all in the stats of how many people are killed with AR-15s or 50 caliber ammunition. Nobody's getting shot with 50 BMGs. Like, it's not happening. Really, not that many people are getting shot with AR-15s. Most people are shot with handguns. And it is a fact. I'm sure people have heard this, but it is an absolute fact. If you read the CDC information, more people are killed with hammers than AR-15s. So I don't really understand what the big deal is. They just look scary, and a bunch of crunchy granola eaters will just shit their Birkenstocks if they can somehow figure out a way to get rid of those scary-looking AR-15s. Anyway, yeah, let's hope that bill dies, because it's terrible. It will do nothing. It'll change nothing. When the previous assault bill was in place, that was when we had our highest gun death rates ever. Ever. The mid-90s was terrible. Brandon Davis, did you look in your daughter's CHL? Yes, I did. For anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, my oldest daughter's going to school in Tennessee. And, Memphis is a scary city. And she's going to be 21 in October, and she's looking to get a concealed handgun license. And we had talked about, do you have to be a resident of Tennessee to get a Tennessee concealed carry license? Which the answer is yes. She's a resident of Oregon, going to school as a non-resident. Will her Oregon concealed carry license work in Tennessee? No. Oregon's terrible about reciprocity. Oregon doesn't want to recognize anybody else's. So most people kind of give Oregon the finger and says, well, if you're not going to recognize ours, we're not going to recognize yours. But the Utah handgun or concealed carry permit, that's not valid in Oregon, but you can get as a non-resident. You can get a Utah concealed carry permit as a non-resident, and the Utah concealed carry permit is recognized in Tennessee. So I don't know if she has to be 21 before she takes the class. If not, she'll probably take the class this summer while she's home for the summer. Otherwise, she'll have to take it next Christmas break. She turns 21 in October. Like December when she comes home for her Christmas break. If need be, we'll get her concealed carry Utah during that time, and then she'll be able to conceal carry in Memphis. Obviously not on campus, even though they had a girl almost abducted on campus, one of her teammates. But when she's not on campus, she'll be able to conceal carry, which definitely make Dad feel a lot better. We're going to buy her a concealed carry pistol. I'm probably also going to send her home with a pump action shotgun to keep behind her bedroom door. Her and 2 roommates are renting a house now, and they have a ring security system at their place, so that makes me feel a little bit better. So yeah, thanks for asking, Brandon. Yeah, we've got it all figured out. She's gonna be good. French fries. The Mini 14 can do anything an AR can do. Yes, except for shoot accurately. Although, I'll give them the credit. From what I understand, the newer Mini 14s, they're doing a lot better. They're not like the old ones where you were a minute of dinner plate at 100 yards if you were lucky. They definitely have come a long ways. You're going to have an easier time finding an AR that's going to outshoot your Mini 14, though. For the, was it $800 for a ranch rifle these days for a Mini 14 ranch? Maybe more, maybe it's $900. You can get a pretty nice AR. And you can get an even nicer AR if you build it and spend that much money building an AR. Like my first AR, I didn't even spend that much. I utilized a lot of Black Friday sales and deal hunted, and I shoot a ½ an inch with my hand loads all day long. You're not going to find a Mini 14 that can do that. I guarantee it. It just has a wood stock. You can get them with polymer stocks, or you can even change them out to a folding stock. Mini 14 is an awesome gun. Yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of 18 when I was a kid. That made me think that the Mini 14s are really cool. They're really reliable. They're good guns, but they've always had kind of an issue in the accuracy department. I'm sorry. I know that they've gotten a lot better in recent years, but that has been kind of a historic flaw with those guns, which is why I've never been interested in buying one. Because for the same price, I can do a lot more with an AR-15. I might be more interested in a Mini 30 because you can get those in 7.62 by 39. That could be maybe a little more interesting. I really want to get one. That's cool. I always encourage anybody to get what you like. If that's what you're into, go for it. Just be warned. I'm telling you, I'll place money on it. For that price, you'd have a hard time outshooting an AR of the same price. You need to go to the range, but the wife won't hold targets for me. Mine won't either. But I take her to the range, and she shoots pretty darn well. Yeah, but people won't want to take my Mini 14. That's true. It's not the scary AR-15, but they still may take your magazine. Because one of the things in that HR-127 is a 10-round magazine limit. And one thing I would do, I mean, if this thing happens, I'm in the middle of building a 50 Beowulf, a standard AR-15 magazine that holds 30 rounds of 5.56 or 223. If you're loading 50 Beowulf in it, it'll only hold 10. So I will be labeling all of my magazines 50 Beowulf and then show them if something was to come, if something was to come up, hiccuping, sorry. Yeah, look, see, it can only hold 10. It's a 10-round magazine. It's not the ideal follower. There are better followers out there for the 50 Beowulf, but you can load 50 Beowulf in a standard AR-15 magazine, and even though it's going to want to tend to push it to one side because of the way the bump is in the standard 223 follower, the 50 Beowulf is so fat it just doesn't have enough side to side. It just doesn't have the room to move side to side enough to have it thrown off. So you don't have to change the follower. 10-round 50 Beowulf magazine. Beto would try. Yeah. Beto probably would try. You're probably 100% correct. But I don't. Beto probably has never even heard of a Ruger Mini 14. You know, he's heard of AR-15 because that's what they talk about all the time. They talk about Mini 14s. But if you asked him if he knew what it was, I'm sure he'd be clueless. He'd probably say, "Is that some kind of AR-15?" But yeah, I don't know. I think the second they see wood and they're no longer scared. Go figure. Sorry, everybody text me a picture of his new toy. What else you got, folks? We're having a pretty easy time staying up with the chat with only 3 of you here. Anybody have any questions for me? Did you guys watch this week's video on the Smith & Wesson 617? Think of it. Crazy on price gouge on primers right now. Guys try sell 22 long rifle for the price of 338 Win. No doubt. I was on Gunbroker yesterday just looking at some stuff, and I saw somebody selling a case of, I can't remember if it was small pistol or small rifle, but a case of 5,000 CCIs, and the bid was at like $1,285 for 5,000 primers, and there was still like 3 days left in the auction. You know, I mean, you're well over $200 per 1,000 already, with 3 days left in the auction. And when does the auction get really hot? Not 3 days out, like an hour out. So that could, I can't even imagine. It's absolutely insane. I'm glad that I have a pretty decent stock on most stuff. A few things that I'm kind of low on. I actually have an incredibly generous subscriber that is helping me get some restocked with some reloading equipment or reloading components for pre-panic price, and actually a little bit less, just because he wants to be able to see my channel continue on. And I can't thank him enough. I'm not going to name any names because I don't know if he wants that publicly known. But if you're watching, you know who you are. Thank you very much. It means the world to me. Unless it's an AK. I don't know what you're talking about quite there. Let's see if I can go back and figure it out. I think so. It was, yeah, but people don't want to take my Mini 14 unless it's an AK. Yeah, I mean, I could maybe, I don't know if you're saying like they would think it was an AK because the wood furniture. I'm not quite sure what you're implying. But I know Beta would want to go after it just for being more than 10 rounds. I mean, that's just kind of where we're at. Oh, the Woodstock, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think you're saying I don't think they care about it because it's got a Woodstock, but an AK has a Woodstock, and yes, they wouldn't want AKs. You could maybe get them to ease off on like a Sega. You know, it's where you just it's basically an AK that's kind of sort of meant to look like a hunt rifle, and they would probably look and be like, well, it's just a hunt rifle, that's probably okay. Not realizing it's still pretty much an AK. I mean, you have to do a little modification to some of the Segas to make them accept like a Milsurp magazine, but still pretty much just an AK, just with the hunting rifle looking stock on it. So that's the thing with them. They don't know anything about guns. Not a clue. They're not interested in learning about them either. They know a bunch of keywords, a bunch of key phrases, and they know how things look and make them feel when they see pictures of them. So if it's all black and it looks scary, let's ban that gun. But, you know, it's like, I'm sure you all have seen the pictures, you know, a standard Ruger 1022 and then a picture under it with it all tacked out saying, you know, they wouldn't care about that top gun, but that bottom gun is scary and should get taken away. And it's the same gun. The difference is cosmetics, and in some cases like ergonomics, like having a pistol grip. Somehow they think that makes the gun more deadly. Really, it's just more comfortable ergonomics. I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, hit me with some more questions. Go call your friends. Tell them to hop on here because I don't know where they're all at tonight. Maybe they're all mad at me because I took last week off. I don't know. Lucas, you're not. Are you still on here? If you're on here, speak up, man. I know you have all kinds of good gun questions. Let's see. RCBS got me free rebuild kit shipped to me last weekend for a set of 338 wind dies I got for free. Not quite sure what you're saying there. They sent you a free rebuild kit for... Oh, so they're RCBS 338 wind dies, and they're sending you a rebuild kit for the 338 Win Mag dies. If that's correct, let me know. If I'm not correct, let me know. That's cool. I mean, getting free dies and then getting them to rebuild them for free, that's pretty cool. Yeah, even dies are getting hard to buy. Here's the crazy thing, you know, I didn't buy, my family didn't buy me the cap and ball revolver because it's, you know, we're getting that desperate. But people are. I was in line at Cabela's behind a guy that was there to buy a single black powder rifle and 2 black powder cap and ball revolvers. Because I get this, number one, he's a felon, and these aren't considered firearms, so he can have them. And 2, because you can't find any other ammunition for anything else. And he's like, I want to be able to protect my house too, which I get. And they were low on the revolvers. They hardly had any. And they had no black powder reloading supplies at all, except for some lead balls, but in odd diameters that aren't used a lot, like 58 caliber. They had no 50. They had no 45 or any of the 45 variants that work in some of the 44 guns. Like, you know, mine use a 454 ball. You know, it's a 44 caliber. Anyway, yeah, and they said it's because people are now starting to make the same run on black powder stuff as they've been making on centerfire stuff, because you can't find centerfire. People can't find 9mm for their semi-autos. They're turning to black powder cap and ball revolvers. That's crazy. I mean, who in a million years would have thought that that's where we would be? Can't get black powder reloading components because people are hoarding them. I'm trying to find some 150 grain nozzle partitions for my 270 Win. Can't find them anywhere. Yeah, yeah, that's tough. I would, you know, for myself, and it's kind of working-ish, somewhat. Not a whole lot, but sometimes I get lucky. I'm just putting feelers out like crazy. You know, I know a lot of people that are into guns, and maybe they don't shoot the same stuff as me, and so I'm trying to put the word out. Hey, I'm looking for number 10 or number 11 percussion caps. I'm looking for this kind of powder. I'm looking for these bullets. And, you know, we're all kind of partnering together, keeping an eye out for the stuff that the other guys are all looking for, so that hopefully some of us can get our hands on things. You know, I've got several people I work with that hunt and reload, and I know what all of them are looking for powder. So that way, if I see it, or primers, which, yeah, good luck, nobody's finding primers. But if I see it, I'll pick it up for them because I know they're looking for it, and vice versa. That's the only thing I could suggest, is get some feelers out there, you know, kind of partner up with a bunch of people and make sure everybody's looking for you. If I see some, I'll let you know. I am considering black powder for hunting. There is a hair tag for elk that's fairly easy to draw in Oregon. Interesting. Yeah, I've never black powder hunted. My buddy who owns the property where I shoot most of my videos, he's been black powder hunting for years. So I think I'm going to kind of tap him for a lot of knowledge on that stuff, because yeah, he's been doing it for quite a while. He's a great knowledge of black powder stuff in general. So yeah, I think I'm really considering getting a black powder rifle kit. I've always wanted to get one and put it together. I do a lot of woodworking anyway, so I've got a lot of skills when it comes to woodworking, because from what I've seen, I've already watched a bunch of videos on them. You can just kind of slap them together the way they come, but the fit and finish is going to not be very good, quite honestly. So you gotta, if you want them to look really good, you really got to put some time into them, making sure the fit and finish is right. And I have the ability to do all that stuff, so I'm really considering suggesting to my wife for a Valentine's / anniversary / way early Father's Day present, and maybe I get a black powder rifle kit and put it together, because I think it'd be a lot of fun. I got to have something to go with my cap and ball revolver. Yep, free dies from my brother. They were missing the capping pin and shell holder. They sent 10 pins and new shell holder plus new rod. That's awesome. That's like a lifetime supply of pins as far as that kind of stuff goes, because chances are you're not going to load thousands of 338s in your life. Maybe you will. I just won't. I like shooting my 338, but it's not like 223 or 9 mil or something like that. What always gets me, as far as pins go, is I didn't do a good enough job separating brass that I picked up at the range, and you get some, European Berdan primed or whatever, and doesn't have a center flash hole, and you don't realize it, and you go to resize, and next thing you know, your pins break, or it's shaped like a horseshoe because it hits the bottom and just bends right in half. So I think that's the only pins I've ever had bend or break are like 9mm, 223, maybe some 308. But I think just 9mm and 223 myself. So you should get a lot of use out of all that. As a 243 wind die from Herder I got from Red Eye Reloading, they are like new. I don't have any experience with the Herder brand dies. I know nothing about them, honestly. I have Lee dies, I have RCBS dies, and I have a couple of Redding dies, and one set of Lyman dies. There's Alaskan Ballistics. I can't talk. There's Alaskan Ballistics. I texted him about an hour before I started. He has family obligations tonight, so he will not be joining us, unfortunately. And it was the same thing. He didn't end up having a live chat this week, but he talked about trying to put one together last night, and I said, well, that's cool if you can, but I won't be able to make it to yours either, because I also had obligations last night. This whole, life and family and all that stuff definitely gets in the way of all that, doesn't it? Not that I would give it up. I love it, but let's see. No problem staying caught up on the chat. Has anybody else joined us? Do we have anybody new in here? Let me hop over here and see if this shows me how many people are in. Staying caught up on the chat. Has anybody else joined us? Do we have anybody new in here? 6 watching now. Hop over here and see if apparently. Staying caught up on the chat. Has anybody else joined us? Do we have anybody new in here? 6 watching now. So who's on here that hasn't said hi? I only account for 4. You can't be a lurker. If you're going to come on here, you at least have to jump on and say hello. We're not going to do a 2.5-hour episode. I'd like to get a little bit longer, but at the same time, if we're not getting a lot of engagement, kind of no point. Let's see. Do you hunt exclusively with gun, or do you hunt with a bow too? I have bow hunted. I would not consider myself a bow hunter. I think that I probably have a better chance of getting into black powder hunting than bow hunting. But you never know. Things change. I have a bow. But yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of work. And I like guns. I like guns a lot. Hey, Trace, just getting here. What did I miss? Nothing important. Just me rattling on about a bunch of crap. Nothing important. But now that you're here, you can ask the important questions, and We'll have some fun with that. Got my biggest buck with a 50 cal inline muzzleloader. That's pretty cool. Oregon has some really strict rules on muzzleloader hunting. Not that you can't use inline, but you can't use inline that uses 209 shot shell primers, and it cannot have a sealed breech. The breech must be open to the elements. And we just made it so that we could have fiber optic sights. Still no scopes, no red dots, none of that. It used to be it was just, steel sights, but just a couple years ago, you could have fiber optics. But Oregon's really, really trying to keep muzzleloader hunting very primitive, which, I kind of like it. I think that and this is just an opinion, if you could go to a 209 shot shell primer and a sealed breech and a scope and all that, and you're getting 1.5 inch groups, 200 yards to the muzzleloader, you have zero disadvantage over the regular bolt action rifles or semi-auto rifles, but the regular modern rifles. Zero disadvantage. And that's kind of the point, I think, of doing the muzzleloader hunting is you're doing it in a tougher way, but you're getting better seasons. You're hunting more during the rut. You have a little bit more opportunity. If Oregon was to make it like some other states, now it could be completely different. Like if you go to a state like Wisconsin or something like that, when they have so many deer, it doesn't really matter. Everybody's killing deer. You can go kill them with your rifle, your bow, your muzzleloader, with your shotgun, with a slug, and maybe 2 or 3 with each. They just have so many freaking deer, they can just kill deer all fall and winter long. Oregon, for the most part, you get 1 deer. We don't have tons of deer, so you get 1 deer. And so you kind of have to choose what gun you're going to do that with. So since you're limited to 1, they really want to kind of keep the seasons fairly separate, and only give an advantage as far as when you hunt, be able to hunt like during the rut, to people are giving up some big disadvantages by hunting with a bow or a primitive muzzleloader, not a modern muzzleloader. Because otherwise, people would ditch the regular rifle hunting and all try to hunt muzzleloader. If they were hunting with muzzleloaders, that could perform just as good as a modern bolt action. So I get it. Sorry, I rambled on there for way too long. Why though? Bow hunting is so fun, and it's way warmer earlier in the season. Honestly, that's part of it. Not the fun part. But I don't like warm weather at all. I process all my own game. It's harder to keep my game cool and be able to hang it and season it when it's warmer. I don't take my deer anywhere to process. I'm the kind of guy that pretty much anything I do, I like to do it all. I hunt, so I butcher and package and cook and everything my own deer. I shoot and I hunt, so I reload all my own ammo. And that's just kind of how I am with a lot of things. I just like to, if I'm going to do it, I want to do all of it. And also, I'm cheap. I don't want to pay somebody else to cut up my own deer when I know how to cut it up. And I cut it up the way that I like it, not the way that they do it. Have I ever gone out of state for hunting? I have not. I have never hunted out of state. I have a really good buddy that hunts. He lives here in Oregon where I live, and he goes up and hunts in northeastern Washington quite a bit. Pretty far north, heading towards Canada, into pretty cold areas. And he's taken some nice deer. I've considered doing that. But yeah, I've never hunted out of state. I have an open breech. It's an old CVA Magnum Hunter with a 209 with a scope. Also got a CVA Bobcat percussion gun. Our muzzleloader sessions runs weird here. Okay. Our muzzleloader seasons, lots of times, are going on about the same time as second archery season. So our archery season is actually kind of split in half, and they run concurrent deer and elk at the same time. But you have first and second season. You have it usually start like around the last weekend of August through most of September for first, and then bow shuts down for rifle season. That goes all the way through October into like the first week of October. I mean, the first week of November, like the first Wednesday in November. And then after that, deer season starts back up for the second half. And you don't have to have separate tags. You've got the tag for the entire bow season. You just have it cut in half. So you get some warmer weather hunting the first season, and then you get some colder weather hunting, which is good because that early season, you get closer into that elk rut. And that second season, you get closer into that deer rut. So you kind of have both. Well, I mean like 40s instead of 20s. You must live in a much colder state than me. Because 40s for me is wintertime. Like that's where we're at right now. We're in the 40s. Fall muzzleloader is doe only. Other than that, you got to use it during rifle and shotgun. Late muzzleloader is flintlock only. Oregon hardly has any doe hunts because Oregon doesn't have like huge, incredible deer populations like some other states have, and does really control the population. So the only doe hunts that we do around here are usually in specific areas to address a. Like I have a tag right now that goes all the way to the end of February, and it's been good since September 1st. And I can use it for any deer, but it's in very specific areas, and it's because of agriculture damage. I have a buddy whose aunt and uncle live out in eastern Oregon, almost to Idaho, and whitetail for us are not native. But we have a bunch of whitetail in the far eastern part of the state that have come in, and they, at least for us, like my buddy's aunt and uncle, they've owned their place since like 63 or something like that. And they had never seen a whitetail deer at all until about 20 years ago. And then all they had on their property ever was mule deer, which that's mule deer is what we have in eastern Oregon, western Oregon, west of the Cascade Range. We have blacktail. And it's the blacktail run from the Cascades to the coastline from Mexico all the way up to Alaska. The entire west coast, a very narrow strip, have blacktail. And most of the deer that I've killed have been blacktail. But we get those non-native whitetails over in eastern Oregon. And like my buddy's aunt and uncle's place, once the whitetail started showing up, they took over all the flat farmland that's out there and pushed all the mule deer, because they're far more aggressive, pushed all the mule deer up into the mountains. And the whitetail just don't seem to have any fear of people, like at all. So you have all these farmers over there, and we grow a lot of alfalfa in Oregon. Alfalfa is a big crop for us. And you have whitetail deer go up and just destroy alfalfa fields. So we have the tag that my kids have always done. It's a youth tag only, and it specifically says that it has to be filled on private property. The private property must be agricultural property or within 1 mile of agricultural property. So that's another example of a doe hunt that we have that, it's set up to address a problem. Other than that, you can't really hunt does in Oregon anymore because, our populations really aren't very good. Wait, you like way out west, right? I'm in New England, and I bet the hunting's way different. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Hunting here is tough. It's, blacktail are small deer. They're very spooky deer. They don't stop to turn around to see what stepped on a branch and scared them off. They'll run till the next county, and they're very sneaky. Blacktail are very, very sneaky deer. And then you have way different hunting in western Oregon with our mule deer, and you're out in like the high desert. Yeah, it's very different hunting, but we have two different kinds of hunting as far as our deer go. There's a Western elk muzzleloader in December. Nothing will make the wife happier than cutting up elk at Christmas. So, Brandon, I take it you live in Oregon as well, I'm guessing? And that Western elk muzzleloader, is it like the Western buck tag where it's good for all the Western units? Or is it good for a specific unit? Because I would be very interested in maybe trying that one out. Just got like 3 days of single-digit weather, so it's pretty cold here, I guess. Yeah. Every couple years, we'll get a cold snap that takes us into the teens, maybe. And that's crazy cold that we just don't see here hardly ever. Most of the time, you know, like we got snow a week and a couple days ago. We had like 2 inches of snow that lasted overnight. Started late in the afternoon, lasted overnight, and was gone by like noon the next day. That's kind of typical of our snowfall. And that might happen once or twice a winter. Sometimes none times a winter. We don't really deal with icy roads. I mean, there's parts of Oregon that do. Like the high desert out in eastern Oregon, totally different story. Or the mountain ranges. But I'm in the Willamette Valley. You know, I'm like an hour from the coast. We're kind of nestled between the Coast Range and the Cascade Range. And, yeah, we don't get cold like that. We don't get snow much either. And if it does, it's a tiny dusting, and people freak out because they have no idea what to do. I got my driver's license while I lived in northwestern Montana up by Glacier National Park. I know how to drive in it. Most people around here scare the hell out of me. I stay off the roads too, not because of my ability, but because of everybody else's inability. They scare the hell out of me because we just don't get it. We don't get a lot of practice. Anyway, I'm caught up again, guys. You need to keep me rolling. Let's see. So let me ask this question. And granted, with times being what they are, as far as ammo and gun and all that availability, what would you guys like to see? Is there anything that I'm doing that you would like to see more of, or something that I'm not doing you want to see? And just keep in mind, you know, I'll take your comments into consideration, and I will try. But there's not, you can't just go out and, hey, I'm going to do something with this caliber today, because not hardly anything's available. I'm scratching my head, you know, like try and make sure that I can keep the channel interesting during these tough times and just kind of make my way through it. But I can always try. So if you guys have any ideas, throw them my way. I just got 1.5 feet of snow. I've lived through that. You know, like I said, I live in northwestern Montana. Some days I miss it. Other days I think back to when I was, you know, shoveling out the driveway when I was a teenager and go, you know what? I don't really miss that. I kind of like it here. Literally from where I live, I'm an hour from the Pacific Ocean. 2 hours from Mount Hood if I want to go skiing or snowboarding or any of that stuff. Also 2 hours from Hoodoo, which is another big ski resort. I'm 2.5 hours from the high desert, and I've got all the valleys, woods, mountains. I mean, everything you can think of in a very short distance from where I live. So other than dealing with all the Democrats, Oregon's pretty awesome. Yeah, I've been snowing like crazy here in PA, single digits this weekend. You can keep it. Have you had a chance to send the Kimber Micro 9 back to Kimber yet? Good question. I actually answered it earlier. You asked what you missed. That was something you missed, and now you don't get it now. I'm just kidding. So I'm actually going to shoot a video with the Kimber Micro 9 this weekend. That's not my gun. That's not that whole set. It doesn't belong to me. belongs to my buddy who owns the property where I shoot my videos. He got a rather quick turnaround. You know, I shot that. I do all my video shooting on the weekends. He shipped it out the following Monday, and he received it back from Kimber, not that Friday, but the next Friday. So it was from the time he shipped it from his house, and they are in New York. So he shipped it from Oregon to New York. They worked on it, shipped it from New York back to Oregon in a little bit over a week and a half. That's pretty impressive. And they gave him a long list in an email of parts they replaced, of parts they did work on. There was things like polishing the breech face and polishing the feed ramp. They replaced the firing pin and firing pin spring. There was some other stuff I can't remember, but I'm going to shoot a video for it this weekend. I'm not sure when it'll get uploaded because I stay pretty far ahead of things. Maybe I'll try to get that in, put it in the list a little earlier so we can get it out there since we had a fail from it. And they listed 3 different kinds of ammo that they ran a full mag of each one through it, and they said they didn't have any issues. My buddy got it back. He ran a mag or 2 through it, not too many because he's trying to conserve his ammo because, you know, the state that we're in as far as ammo goes. And he said it didn't seem to have any issues. So we'll find out this weekend. I'm going to shoot it, and we're going to find out if it is fixed like they say it is. I hope it is because he was rather disappointed. That was a Father's Day gift for him, that whole set. The 10 millimeter, the full-size 10 millimeter, I love it. It shoots fantastic. I really enjoy shooting it. It was such a disappointment to have one part of the set work so well and the other one just be a total dud. But hey, we're going to give Kimber a chance to redeem themselves, so we'll see how it runs. It's fun to have snow after hunting season, but during my normal rifling season, I got 2.5 feet, so that wasn't fun. Yeah, I wouldn't want to hunt in 2.5 feet of snow. It might be easy to track them, but it's also hard to make it through. Trask unit, Control 200 series hunt, December 15th through December 31st, hair tag. Trying to think of what unit my buddy's place is in, because he's got a bunch of timberland right behind where I shoot all my videos. I'm trying to think of where's Trask? I can't think of it off the top of my head. My buddy's house is north of Grand Ronde. That'd be interesting to find out. I'm sure he knows. I could just ask him. I work with him. I could ask him about it tomorrow at work. Our deer numbers suck in PA where I'm at. But you head east of Pittsburgh, completely different numbers. The Oregon, unfortunately, doesn't have phenomenal numbers really anywhere. You know, in Western Oregon, unless you have a really serious amount of time to dedicate to your deer hunting, or you're just a phenomenal hunter and know some spots that produce really good numbers, most buck hunters I know take the first legal buck they can, because it might be the only legal buck you see all season. Southeast of Tillamook. Well, southeast of Tillamook is towards Grand Ronde, but probably not far enough. I was thinking that I may even have a set of regs now that I think about it. I tend to keep a lot of stuff near my chair, but I don't think I have my 2021 regs sitting here. If he's not Trask, he's got to be close. Is that a hunt that you've done, Brandon? And if you've had some success doing that, hunt, my words aren't working today. And what's the draw like? Is it like something you get every other year, or is it a fairly decent chance of drawing with no points? I'd be interested to find out. Let's see. Looks like we're pretty well caught up. Yeah. I don't see anybody else in there. Alrighty. Well, we are at 55 minutes, almost on the dot. Oh, hey, there you go. Do you ever go mushroom picking? I'm from Washington and know we have basically the same conditions, and I love hunting for mushrooms. I never have. I know people that have. Most of them don't live all that close to me that I personally know. I know that Oregon is a great place for, like chanterelles and morels. Because I don't do it on a regular basis and I don't have a lot of knowledge there, I'd be super, super, super scared to pick a mushroom and eat it without being a little more sure of what I'm picking and eating, because bad things happen if you eat the wrong mushrooms. I've always thought about learning a little more about that stuff, but honestly I don't know. I know a lady out in Eastern Oregon that goes mushroom hunting on a pretty regular basis. And then she dehydrates them and cans them. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to learn more. Our legal bucks here have got a buck since 2012. Seen some year, had to bass due to point restrictions. It's one thing that's changed here in Oregon was point restrictions. And in one way, I kind of feel like they made the right decision, but in other ways, I think they didn't. So what it used to be in Western Oregon, where we had a general Western rifle tag, and that was something you just go pick up off the shelf. Any of those units that fall in the general Western tag, a buck was considered any buck having one or more forked horns, forked horn. But in the eastern side of the state, where all the units are controlled draw hunts, it was any deer with visible horn. So we had two different legal definitions of what a buck was in Oregon. And then we just recently changed it to be consistent across the state, where it's visible horn for a buck. I like the fact that we are consistent now, because I think it's bizarre to have different definitions of a legal buck in the state. But I kind of wish they went the other way. I kind of wish they would have made it forked horn or better across the whole state. I've even floated the idea, and some of my hunting friends think I'm insane, but I've said, what if we went to 3-point or better in the whole state? Yes, you would have a couple years where your actual success rates were far lower. That's very true. But eventually, you're going to have more and more deer living to that 3-point size, and we're all going to be able to shoot. You should be able to end up having the same number of deer harvested eventually, a few years down the line, and we're all going to be shooting bigger, more mature bucks. I'm not saying that I want that. I've just said, what if we did that? That could be interesting. Like I said, I like that we got consistent across the board on what a buck was. I just wish that we would have done it the other way. That's just my opinion, and it's not worth anything. Well, unless somebody has any other questions, we're almost right at an hour, and I really wish we had more people here. It shows that we've got 7 watchers right now. Unless all of a sudden I get bombarded with a bunch of questions, I think we're probably going to end it for tonight. Let's see. Might be close to Grand Ronde. Trask unit is huge. I have not done it myself, as I don't own a muzzleloader. I've helped a friend who did it a few times before. He drowned salmon fishing. Oh, that sucks. 42 out of 89. That's terrible. Terribly passed away salmon fishing. I'm really sorry to hear that. French fries. I just sent some trail cam photos to your Insta. Check email out. Well, you just want to rub it in my face? Thanks a lot. All right. I will check those out here in a second. We're almost at an hour on the dot, so I think we're going to end it for tonight. Thanks for showing up. Tell your friends next Thursday, 6 o'clock Pacific time. They better be here and have some questions ready to go. I tried to have some guests this week, but people have things going on, you know, people have lives, and it just didn't work out. So that's okay. I'll work hard to try to get some guests on for next week. I definitely think this is more. I think this is more fun with guests. We get a little more conversation going on, and you get to hear more than just me. Because I'm not that interested. Let's see. Oh, tags issued. I was wondering what 42 out of 89 was. That's decent odds. I mean, you have a halfway decent shot of drawing it with 0 points and should be almost a guaranteed with one preference. That might be something to look into. But all right, thanks for the info, Brandon. I think I'm gonna have to sit down with my synopsis and maybe figure something out. James, got any more barrel length video coming? I don't. You know, I could do some, but it's all about what firearms do I own or my friends own that I can borrow. I would like to do some more pistol caliber carbine videos, and that's a great way to do barrel length, this stuff. But I don't know anybody that has a 16-inch barreled 45. I don't know anybody that has a 16-inch barreled 10 millimeter. I'm really tempted to buy a high point 10 millimeter carbine. I kind of like the high point carbines. There's there's definitely a lot to be desired from them, but they're really dependable and they're surprisingly accurate. But my biggest factor is, you know, pre-pandemic, you could pick one of them up for $350 local. I actually looked specifically last night, and I found the Realtree High Point 1095 online at $460. Do I want them that bad? I don't know. I got some Valentine's, anniversary, Father's Day gifts coming up. I might talk to the wife, and I don't know, maybe we make something happen. I don't know. Otherwise, yeah, I just have to get some access to some longer barreled, you know, pistol calibers to do that. I'd love to get my hands on a lever action 44, you know, and I can do, you know, my 3-inch 44, my 7 3/8 inch 44, and then, you know, a 16-inch 44 from a lever action. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, unless I gain access to some guns that I currently don't have access to, I don't really have any plans for it. I'd love to, but that's how it is. Best caliber for EDC, 9mm. Didn't used to be the case, but there is so much technology into these bullets. They have come so far, and you're going to have the best capacity that you can possibly have in an EDC without going to a rimfire. And I'm not going to count like 25s. You don't want 25. You'd almost be better off with 22 long rifle than 25 ACP. So, you know, it's really the only real high capacity small caliber that, in my opinion, is really worth having. And there are so many gun options. There are so many ammunition options. The ammunition has come leaps and bounds. You know, back in the day when our military and our police all started switching 9mm, they're having a lot of problems. But most of the time they're shooting with ball ammo or with poorly constructed hollow points that didn't open up like at all. There's some pretty dynamite 9mm ammo out there these days. So yeah, 9mm, get a lot of capacity. Although I'm crazy, sometimes I carry a 44. Do as I say, not as I do. 10mm needs some love. Around here they were 370 pre-COVID-19. Yeah, that's about where they were at for us pre-COVID. So I guess, you know, I guess 460 is not terrible. James, if you would like to buy one and ship it to me, I would not be upset. I will thoroughly test it out for you, and I will do a long-term test. and like long term test. If you want to send them my way, that'd be cool. But anyway, other than that, I think we're going to call it a night. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you for your questions. I'll try to have guests next week. So I'll try to bring people, and you try to bring people. I'll bring guests, you bring viewers. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have yourselves a good night.